बहाल से
Yeah.
तो तुसी की हाल है पंजाबी बोलो छो
बहुत वधिया है
तुसी की हाल है
Where are you from?
मैं तो नील आसमान का नीचे से हूँ
Okay.
I am from under the blue sky.
Beautiful.
So I am born with Odisha, and today I greet you from Odisha, Bhubaneswar, Odisha.
Okay.
And
I was
located
there in Bhubaneswar for more than a year and a half, way back in 1998. So it had been my place,
So
like Chandigarh and Bhubaneswar, they have been designed by the same architect. So that connect, I guess, stays with us.
Yes, yes. And I was part of Kalinga Literature Festival here for the last 3 days. Today is the concluding day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a joy to be with you with a poem on the last day of the Kalinga Literature Festival.
I was supposed to attend, but because of my launch here, I couldn't.
Oh.
So shall we start the session?
Tell me one thing. Do you find any disturbance in my connectivity, or is it fine?
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, I'll parallelly just initiate my hotspot so that if required, I'll be able to connect immediately.
Okay. So, dear and respected friends, thank you so much for your kind participation in today's Swadesh Chakra dialogue. And thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And today we are going to talk about a book by Dr. Suneet Madan. And first of all, on behalf of Vishwaneedam Center for Asian Blossoming, I, Ranjit Kumar Gautam, welcome you to this Swadesh Chakra dialogue, which is nurtured by Vishwaneedam Center for Asian Blossoming, which is a public intellectual trust. I welcome Dr. Madan, author, and she is a engaged intellectual, writer, poet, and artist. I welcome Professor Anant Giri, professor at Madras Development Institute and honorary trustee of the Vishwaneedam Center for Asian Blossoming. I welcome Professor Gyan Glui from Italy, Professor Meera Chakrabarti, Dr. Alok, Maniti Pradhanji, Sushri Appa, and all friends co-present here. Let me give a brief introduction to our Swadesh Chakra Circle, which is a circle of self and culture and society studies, which is an initiative of studying and learning together self, culture, societies, and the world. Friends associated with this are eager to walk and mediate with new horizons of thinking and new movements of social cultural change at work in our contemporary world. We study seekers such as Sri Aurobindo, Mahatma Gandhi, Chitranjan Das, a creative soul from Orissa, and many others around the world. We invite people from different fields of life to share their knowledge and understanding for making this world more just, more equal, more democratic. So, in this journey, today we will have with us Dr. Madan's understanding as a poet, as a thinker, and she's a very creative soul because her intellectuality is not just profound, means related to academic discipline, but also she understands reality with art and poet sense also. Uh, she is also a storyteller, and her poetry is a very unique, I would say, because it conveys very new kind of imagination profoundly kind of deeper meaning of life, nature, and reality. Uh, she has developed also a very unique kind of style of poetry, which will we can we will listen from her. And she has also so many recognized awards, and she has participated in many conferences, written many articles, and that published in many journals as well. So today we will discuss about her recent work, that is Poinsettia, which is a kind of book of English poetry, and we will understand her journey of writing this important book, some ideas, some inspiration behind this beautiful writing. So I would like to invite Dr. Madan to share her presentation about 40 minutes, and then we will have some question answer session as well. So Dr. Madan, over to you.
Thank you, Randhir. I would rather have a little more interactive kind of a session. But first and foremost, I need to figure out, I am getting the information that somebody is waiting in the waiting room. Am I supposed
Yes,
to?
I have admitted.
Okay, right. Thank you. Okay, now Randhir has given a beautiful, I don't think I could have imagined a more beautiful introduction of mine. Thank you so much. My creative journey actually started pretty much in the womb, with my mom being more creative from the artistic perspective, though she is a cytogenetist, and she has traveled the world over giving lectures on chordates and non-chordates. And with my dad being the more, the one who would play with verses and the one who introduced me to the world of verses, a person who was, a walking poetry, if I can say in some manner. So I guess the kind of, I didn't have to make much an endeavor, can I say that? But yes, the genes also played a good, they gave in a good contribution to the work that I've done. I think the way the life shapes, the way the experiences shape a person, likewise, for me, it has been a long journey wherein there was a time when I was, they didn't expect me to have another breath. My pulse was gone, and I had already traveled out of the body during one of the accidents in childhood. After that, couple of such experiences, which were pretty close shaves, which kind of introduced me to living in the moment, to understanding that if anything is there, it is now. If there's something which needs to be loved, to be enjoyed, to be absorbed, it is now. It is in the moment, because it's not going to be permanently with you. Like the good doesn't stay, the bad doesn't stay. And that's where the entire journey of my life also got, woven into the verses, which I finally, after much prodding, got it published as Poinsettia. I hope you can see that. And Poinsettia, I'll introduce you to Poinsettia a little bit later. Now, what exactly happened during this journey? Poinsettia chose me, because what happens is when you ask about you, when you look into the metaphorical reasoning behind poinsettia chooses you. Even though my journey started when I was in my mid-teens, trying to find a name to my collection, I had a few notebooks that I had filled in with my poetry by then. And I just wanted that, we should go ahead with the publication then. That's when the name I chose. Now, the metaphorical connotation of poinsettia is such that it doesn't reveal itself until the person is ready for it. And that is why perhaps poinsettia came into my life when I was 16, but came into a culmination into a form which was required in a physical form to be spread out when probably I was ready for it, which means now. Perhaps now was a time when poinsettia chose to reveal itself, and that's why it is in the form of a book. Poinsettia is, if you look into, I encourage you to look into its meaning. It is like, it looks like a flower. It has red leaves on the top. I'll just show you, there's something in the background if you can see that. Sorry, I think there's a blur. Now that's basically, there are red leaves on top and green leaves on the lower side. People think that it is a flower. It is not. It is basically leaves. The leaves are red and the leaves are green, but they are made up in, the formation is such that it looks like a flower. And that is how life is. जो दिखती है वो है नहीं, और जो है वो दिखती नहीं. So besides, poinsettia का एक और जो पहलू है वो ये है कि it is very delicate. You have to ensure that there's not too much of light, there's not too much of darkness that the plant is introduced to. So that is, again, if you look into, that's a kind of, that's the way life is. You cannot expect, that you can just go about it. You have to really care for it. You have to look after well. You have to live in moderation. And that's where poinsettia again, comes into being, that you have to care for it. You have to nurture it. So I equate poinsettia to life. I equate to the journey of life. And that's what is embedded in the meaning of all the verses that I have introduced in this book. There are around 60 poems. And of these, 30 have been written in the format which I called duple verses. I am not a literature person, but when I introduced my poetry over the last 2 decades to many a platform on national and international levels, which included many conferences and magazines, journals, wherein I wanted to gauge how acceptable it was, because that's an absolutely new format that I worked on. And yes, it matured over the last 20 years. It matured in its format. And that's why I have put it across now, wherein you get introduced to 2 words per line. These 2 words connect to give you the gist of what is there in a particular poem, in a particular, when you connect them together. Like, for example, I'll read a poem for you. And I hope that you'll be able to understand how exactly these need to be connected. I'll read to you Urban Decay, hot veneers, cynical conversations, pretentious smiles, hiding inadequacies, mirage formation, dwindling warmth, emotional disconnect, impulsive decisions, estranged relations, barren trees, melancholic meanderings, monotonous grooves, erasing present, unbalanced expectations, quick sand. So you actually connect the two words and get to the gist of it. Now, the beauty of the Duple verses is that you can, the reader can connect to it based on his or her life experiences. It can be interpreted as per the reader's curiosity. And this is when I discussed with a couple of professors in English literature, they equated this to minimalism, which uses the imagism. They equated it to imagism, which uses the minimalistic form of writing to express the emotion. So that's how the life experiences shaped Poinsettia, with 30 poems which are from Duple verses and 30 which are from the rhyming or free verse poetry. Maybe I could read another one for you. It's titled, You Matter. Unsolved puzzles in the heart, locked like boxes without keys. There's a reason to let them be. Let the innocence in you stay, leaving self-doubt miles away. You are enough. You are enough. Believe that. Give yourself another chance. Let yourself be your romance. Let go of those who stifle you. Shake yourselves. Shake yourself. Breathe in life. Embrace peace. Breathe in life. Embrace peace. You have only yourself to please. You have only yourself to please. Thank you. So, what I'm writing is something which is my journey, but I assume it is a journey of any other woman, any other human being, any other parent. There's another one which I would love to recite for you. It is titled To My Child. And it's pretty dear to me because, those of you who have children in their late teens or early 20s, you'll see that there's so many times that we wish to say something to them, but because the circumstances, whether it is our own circumstances or it is the patience levels of our children at that particular age, and they hinder us, they hamper us from expressing our true emotions to them, expressing our deep felt fears or challenges that we face. And so that's what I actually penned down, and I'll read it out to you. To my child, between dirty diapers and driver's license, between scraped knees and heartbreaks, between paper planes and actual flights, between the PTMs, that's a parent-teacher meet, and the ATMs, you grew up, so did I. Single parenthood presented multitudinous challenges, dealing with intense grief, still not letting it incapacitate us, not letting you face the depths of my despair. Though vulnerable and exposed, I stood with all my imperfections and honesty, unwilling to kill my dreams, to force it in any acceptable framework, unwilling to shrink myself for someone else's solace, willing to accept anything that feeds and fuels my vibrance, willing to commit mistakes. At least I know I am trying to improve, accepting chaos and confusion as these to contribute to the fullness of life, loving each moment, embracing each opportunity it brings along, taking moments to just sit and breathe, to just sit and breathe. Unbusy does not mean that I'm stagnant. Creating my circles of priorities, but keeping scope for adjusting surprises. I mean, with children, you understand how whatever you process, whatever the day you panned out, you have to go with what their needs and their desires are. And so that is where, but keeping scope for adjusting surprises, untangling the roots of my fears, to celebrate all strings to freedom, trying to grow, honoring my brokenness as it lets me appreciate the strength inside, to balance my aspirations and responsibilities. To the best that I can do, sharing moments of togetherness with you always at the core, holding each other through every storm, us building the mom-son bond strong, laughing away all worries and pain with our hands entwined all along, from behind, making all life decisions with your interests in my mind. You have now grown up and equipped to face life's every test, to build an illustrious career. You will fly away from the nest. As you do so, always remember, I groomed you well, to my best. I groomed you well, to my best. You know, as a parent, we might have our flaws, we might have our limitations, we might have our inhibitions, and we try to do our best for our children. And that is sometimes something which we cannot convey. So Poinsettia carries most of the things that I have experienced, most of the things that I have absorbed from nature, most of the things that I feel too deeply about. Anandji, I would request you to initiate the question and answer, because talking to myself for this long period of time becomes a little inhibiting, because I, as such, am not a talkative person who can continue like that. So in case you have any questions, we could start with those. And I would love to interact with the participants and answer the queries that are there for Poinsettia. And to just add on, Poinsettia is my maiden poetry book, though I have been part of around 20 anthologies. But Poinsettia is completely which I have written, and it's been designed by me, the cover. There are some beautiful reviews which have come out for it. We recently had a performance poetry, which was the artlit adaptation for the launch. And that was again one of the kinds for the one of the kinds book, which is Poinsettia. Thank you. Anandji.
Yes, Miniti Pradhan, I request you to please help.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So,
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
explanation of the book. We wish it a lot of readability and the acceptance from the readers. As myself is a poet, so I can understand each and every word you spoke. And,
Thank you.
So I have one query. Even Poinsettia is a metaphorical meaning of also, like it can be a throughout the year, and some call it the flower, which it is not really a flower, it blooms during the Christmas season. It is called the flower of the holy light.
Yes.
Whether any relevance is there, I mean, some of your poems or anything about this perspective of the naming of the flower, would you please tell about it?
Yes.
And
like
later,
I said initially.
Yeah.
So like I said initially, that it is about my life experiences, and it is about how I have been through various experiences to come to write about it. And the first poem that begins in Poinsettia in the duple format, that is dedicated to his benevolence. Because even though I'm not too religious, but I believe in the energies. I believe there are positive energies, and there are angels, or there are some, or God comes to you in many different forms. And some of my poems are based on that. The first introductory poem in itself in duple verses is his benevolence, pulsating veins, beating heart, interacting neurons, his grace. I mean, we cannot breathe, we cannot go about anything without his benevolence, his grace, the Almighty's blessings. So when you talk about Poinsettia from that angle perspective, it is deeply embedded in this book. Mountain breeze, swaying trees, floating birds, his grace. You're able to enjoy those just because you think it is normal, but being blessed with a vision, being blessed with the eyes, the sight in them, not everybody is. If you are blessed with an eyesight, or with a vision that you're able to capture what is being presented to you in your life's landscape. It is his benevolence. Healthy infant, smiling mother, family ties, his grace. Oceanic turmoil, lost dingy, rescue ship, his grace. Pandemic situation, raging storms, family together, his grace. So when the pandemic stuck, that's a time we didn't know whether we're going to breathe the next minute, whether we're going to be together. There are so many families which were not together. There are so many people who couldn't see the other family member, and they just left without being in the embrace of a loved one, without being in company of a loved one. So if you are living, if you are breathing, it is his grace. Minati ji, I hope that answers the question. And when you buy the book, there's another poem which is in the free verse, which is again on the healers, and where I talk about the healers not being the doctors. Not all healers come in white or in human forms. So that's something which I keep talking about, the spiritual part as well, the part which connects us to other humans. So I guess that answers your question about Poinsettia having a relevance to it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Even I have written so many poetries, but last year actually, it just came to my mind. I did not knew that the new format is you play verses. So I tried one poetry before. After this, just April and Russian more. So I don't know, once it gets over, I will read that poetry. All the question answer session gets over.
Ji.
And then you can ask the others to ask the question.
I request requested friend to please ask their question, or you can, yes, Jolan hand raise his hand. Please ask.
Yes,
Jolan,
Jolan.
please unmute and ask your question.
Thank you. And I appreciate when somebody is talking to me, if you can put your video on, it really help for me to connect to the other person. Jolan, I can see you.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and I'm Jolan Rivara from the Philippines. It's nice to meet you, Dr. Suneet Madan. Can you hear me?
Can you please repeat? I had disturbance in the background. Can you please repeat?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone, and to you, Dr. Suneet Madan. I am Jolan Rivara, Philippines. Yeah, and I'm so glad that I'm being part of this webinar to you, ma'am, and about the feedback. That was really good about your poets, about your poems that you have been reading, about the book that you have shown to us a while ago. That was so good. And
thank you.
But the structures of words, the tones of every tones on it, that was really good. And that was my feedback, ma'am. That was really good. And I hope that, and we've got to learn something from you. We have something more to learn from you, ma'am. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you so much. It'll be my pleasure if I can help you all, experiment with it. There was a question that I was asked yesterday during one of the day before when we had the launch. And the question that was there was, is it good to experiment? Is it good to experiment with the different formats? And, my answer to that, and also for you to understand when you said that you're going to try this out format, is that unless you explore, until and unless you try and see what connects with you, there are different chords, invisible chords that actually connect you to a poem or to a writing or to someone else, those chords have to be identified. And unless you explore them, unless you try figuring out, whether you can connect with another different format, you'll never be able to understand whether that is something which is inherently understandable and that's something which you would love to continue with. So explore not only the different formats, explore the surroundings, explore the beauty of nature, the beauty of every human being. And in the minutest of details, you will see that there's so much that you had overlooked. Thank you.
I request Dr. Gyan Lundi to share some of his reflection on the topic and lecture.
Maybe we could go to the next one in case.
William Siplo has also raised some of his queries. So, William, please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, William. It's nice to connect to you again.
Thank you so much.
Can you put the video on?
Unfortunately, I can't do a video where I am. It's not a good environment.
Okay.
Issue.
Okay, so continue with that.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Suneet, for sharing the insight of the book. It's really connecting. I feel much appreciated. My question is, who is your living favorite poet?
Who is my living favorite poet? Is that the question?
Yes, and then the second one is, how can I access the ebook for the book?
How can you access?
How can I buy the book online?
Okay. Now to answer the second part first, the book is available in India as of now. The global circulation is going to happen within a week or so. It takes a little process at the end of different platforms like Amazon and Flipkart. And also it is available with the publisher, Blue Rose. But the global circulation is in progress. The intricacies of its contract, whatever, are in progress with the different platforms. And it should be available within around a week or fortnight. And I'll intimate you about that. And the other the first question, which is there, that who do I connect with in the living ones? It would not be justified if I say that one name that I connect with. It will not be justified if I talk about one poetry being better than the other. You come across so many wonderful poets, and each is atop the other. You cannot make out which one you can come up with, this name or that name. There are so many different platforms that I have presented my work, and I've come across some wonderful poets over there. I don't think I can compare them. But for the one long gone who's influenced me a lot, I write in English, Hindi, and Punjabi. And so I loved Maya Angelou's Still I Rise. I can breathe it. So that's where I have written a poem which I make it as an extension to Maya Angelou's Still I Rise, and then start off with my Hindi poetry, which is titled Main Hoon. Main Hoon means I am. And I am in itself is extremely powerful. मैं लौ हूं, मैं ज्योति हूं, मैं ज्वाला हूं, मैं अग्नि हूं. So in those words, I'm describing a woman and the power that she has. So this initiates from Maya Angelou's Still I Rise, and then I come out with my Hindi poetry for that. So I could give her name, but in the current ones, it'll not be justified if I take one name. But there are few who are really close to my heart. Thank you. Yes, Cholan.
Good evening, Mom, once again. And
good evening.
Also, it is my first time to attend your webinar. And it is my pleasure to meet you here and in social media. And also it is also add points for additional wisdom for me to have this communication with you, ma'am. And it was really good because you are a doctor and you are connecting something, beliefs in religion, to a poets. You're something connecting the poets with religion and science. That was really good. And the thing is, I wanted to ask you, when did you start to write book or start your poems, Mom? And thank you. That is only my question.
Okay, thank you. Like I mentioned earlier, that I started writing pretty early in life. My dad used to take me out when I was, a kid, when we would go to the market. That's the time when we used to walk down. And I would keep jumping along with him in my frock, hopping, skipping, and he would play word games with me. So by the time I turned 16, I had more than probably 100 poems, which I'd already written. And that's when the title Poinsettia was also selected, because I intended getting them published then. But like I said, Poinsettia chooses you and chooses when to appear and when to ensure that you're ready to accept it. So Poinsettia as such was ready then. So I started writing pretty early, and that's the answer to your question. And another thing, I am not talking about religion, I'm talking about spiritualism, which is pretty much different from religion. It is, you can say, a subset part, but I would not like to get into that aspect. It's more of me connecting chords, me getting the aura, me getting the vibes of the person, place, or thing. Thank you.
I can see one question. Unmute yourself and ask the question.
Sorry, is the question in the chat?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let me check, because I was...
It is, she's saying she finds your poem so melodical and thought-provoking advice for life. They become so universal. It is a piece of art to turn so simply words into such exquisite sensitivity to life. Thank you so much for the presentation. Greetings from Poland. Yes.
Eva, thank you so much. Your words mean a world to me. You know, when the author is able to connect to someone and get that kind of feedback that the other person is able to connect with the author or to the poet, to the verses, that's the biggest feedback. I'm grateful to you. Thank you. And if you would like to unmute yourself, Eva, I would like to hear your voice.
As she's taking some time. So, Dr. Gyan, if you can connect us, we would like to hear some thoughts. Dr. Gyan Gului.
Yes, thank you very much. But I had some problems with the connection. That is, I remained out of the meeting for more or less 30 minutes. Therefore, I have to hear it again because I lost nearly anything. I've found the recorded version on YouTube, and I'm going to hear it as soon as we finish. And I will send you my remarks, my notes. I am really deeply sorry for what happened, but I think it is depending on my connection. I tried and tried, but there was nothing to do. I deeply apologize. But anyway,
no worries.
Thank you very much.
No worries at all. Whenever you're able to connect to it, whenever you're able to go through the YouTube link, I would love to hear your feedback to it.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I request Miniti Pradhan ji. Miniti Pradhan is also a very creative poet. So I request her to please share some of her poetry as well with some queries. Yes.
Yes, please.
1 minute. Just. Hello, I am audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. As I promised that replay verses, just I had tried out of curiosity how it works. So I had written on board. So the title of the poem is Nowhere.
Okay.
Loud noise, fairy fire. Loud noise, fairy fire. Fearful eyes, gloomy faces, and hungry stomachs.
Wow.
Agonal minds, unsure future, dragging feet, favorite dolls, loaded luggages. Hurrying roads, queued vehicles, countless cadavers, tragic scenes, displaced reality, unhealed wounds, inflated egos, crushed souls. Alerted thoughts, vital lives, harmonious coexistence, thriving humanity, and peaceful earth. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. And one more poetry, when you are reading about the children, I could relate to one of the poetry from my book, A New Dawn. That poetry is titled as My Child and I. Randhir, can I continue?
Please do so.
Yes,
we
please.
still have time, and I would love to hear that. I'm feeling so good that duple verses, which I started off with, and I'm able to have someone who could actually write and share with me, because I have seen the translated version in Punjabi done by someone. And when I asked how did they get to know about it, they said, don't you know, it is something which is a modern style of writing. I said, really? So that's the time when I had not given a title to it as duple verses, as a format name. So he gave the name duple verses pretty late. And
no, but actually, in one of I am part of one anthology. There I read one single word poetry. You know, then that inspired me. So should I try with the double or the two words? Like then when I showed, you know, and you get the appreciation, it continues. So it continues.
I am so glad. I'm so glad. And this was a beautiful piece that you wrote. You really.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is from my book, A New Dawn, and the title of the poem is My Child, Little Child and I.
Okay.
It goes like this. Many days my dishes go unwashed. Many days my dishes go unwashed and laundries remain dirty. And I don't make my bed. I just take his little hand in my palm where his little footsteps lead. Yeah, we explore all the outdoors with his uneven steps. Beneath the sun and sky, the world at the time meant to me is my little child and I. We saw the clouds. We listened the birds chirp. We plucked the hibiscus and watched the squirrels scream. We talked a lot, beyond the word, listening and answering to each other. At that time for clock, I was bothered never. It made a valuable gift for us ever. That was my house and me was so neglected. That was my house and me was so neglected. No attention was given the movements of these years. No one will ever know or ever can, but I have helped my little one to grow. The whole wide world is open to him to explore and live a life now. Thank you. Thank you all.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
You know, we keep looking at our children and we see our world in them. And I just hope someday they realize that you know, that connect that they had on us, the impact they had on us. And the world is beautiful, and especially with children with us.
Thank you. Thank you. And if there is no question, then we can request again Mintiji to offer vote of thanks, because Anant Giri and Professor Meera Chakravarti, they are facing network issue. And Minti Pradhanji, please offer vote.
Thank you. Yeah,
and Randir, also check if there are any other questions or queries or something that, so that we could.
William sent a message that he's saying that you are like inspiring soul for him.
Thank
and
you.
He's saying that I remember showing her my poetry and we instantly connected. Her words are therapeutic and inspiring. And that's the art and science of poetry, that it makes things realizable, which is a realm of heart, not mind. So
true. That's where I said the chords have to connect, the aura has to connect. So thank you, William.
Yeah.
Yes,
we'll continue. Yeah.
Yes.
On behalf of Swadhyaya Chakra and Vishwaneedam Center for Asian Blossoming, I, Minati Pradhan, would like to thank and congratulate our today's chief speaker and author, Dr. Suneet Madan, for her very letting us into her very beautiful world of Poinsettia. Thank you so much, and we wish you the very best. And probably I hope some other sessions where poetry will be the main subject, we all can collaborate together and make this journey even memorable. Thank you so much.
Most willing to. Thank you.
I would like to thank our today's moderator and our mentor, Professor Anant Kumar Giri, for giving us different opportunity to go through different subjects and experiences poetries like this in such a beautiful evening. Thank you, Anantavai. I would like to thank Professor Gyanluiji, and I would like to thank all these Jolene Ray, William, Eva, and the people who were present with us and shared their valuable opinions and their insights. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I would like to thank all the people who have joined with us on the Zoom platform, the YouTube platform. So thank you all, and pardon me if I have forgotten anybody's name, but I really thank all of you from the bottom of my heart. At the end, not the last, but I mean not the last, the least also, I cannot thank enough to Professor Randir Kumar Gautam for planning and executing such beautiful webinars. Thank you, Randir, and thank you all.
Thank you, Randir. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.